I have my good friend, Mr. Kurt Mortensen. He's in the house teaching us about your small businesses and how to recognize and seize opportunities. That's our next chapter. And this is a wonderful material and a book that was written by Steve Gibson and his wife, Betty. And as you know, they're the founders of the Academy for Creative Enterprise. And they have students all over the world in chapters. And we're big believers. We love what Steve does and what his organization does. And our goal as a foundation is to be able to deliver materials to you on a digital basis. And then our goal is to be able to send you to other organizations where you can get a little bit more face-to-face, toe-to-toe, things like that. So Kurt, if you're on and you're ready to go, looks like you're there, go ahead and take it away. And we're going to go into our next chapter. Thanks for being here, Kurt.
All right, welcome back. We're getting to Creating Family Prosperity Where There Are No Jobs. This is number 4. Remember, you have the manual, the PDF that we're working through. This is lesson 4. How can I recognize and seize a good opportunity? That's what we're going through. So follow along. This is on page 19 is where we're starting, lesson 4. These are things that we're going to consider. So big picture, I want to talk about some of these and give you some tools to help you out as you build your side hustle, as you look at your business and you make things, expand and grow. So we're talking about, what is a business, different type of businesses, different ideas that you can generate. And as I go through this, make sure that you're taking good notes. Good ideas are like slippery fishes. I think it was Earl Nightingale said it, because if you don't get it, it's going to disappear. Then we're talking about your neighbors, problems they're going to solve, opportunities, do some brainstorming with you and talk about different ideas that you have. So we're going to talk about the 4 types of businesses, the different ideas, are they good or bad, opportunities to solve problems for potential customers. Remember, the more pressing the problem, the bigger the problem, as Tom says, the better it is for you to increase your income. You need that side hustle. You don't have to get it done overnight, a little bit at a time. That's what we're working for as we go through the different pieces of this. So as you look at this, these new words here, we're on page 19, we all define a little bit differently. So what is a business? Any formalized effort that increases the amount of money through exchange of goods and services between 2 or more people. There's retail, a business that buys from a wholesaler or manufacturer and sells them directly to the customer. There's the service business that provides time, skills, expertise. A lot of you will be doing that in exchange for money. Wholesale, a business that purchases goods in bulk from a manufacturer and sells small quantities to retailers. There's the manufacturer. It's a little tough you can get to that point if you're good at creating and making something, produces a tangible product that is sold to wholesalers. There's the problem. That's the situation that's difficult to deal with or control that people are having an issue with. Your idea, you know what that is. Opportunity is a favorable combination of circumstances. A situation that would allow a person to make profit by taking advantage of it. So you see the different definition. Here's what we're going to be going through, doing some brainstorming, thinking about your ideas. I just want to say, I love that you're generating ideas, but sometimes you get so close to it that it might not be the best idea. You want to bounce it off different people that'll give you honest feedback. We love our moms, but sometimes you tell your mom, it's great, it's perfect. Don't we want honest, good feedback? Sometimes moms will do that, but we want to be able to get that feedback from the different people as we talk about these ideas. So this is brainstorming. No right or wrong ideas, just write down ideas as we go through this. What is that next side hustle? What is that business you want to create? That's what we'll be working with here as we go through this. So at the bottom of page 19, you have to understand one of the biggest challenges for people striving to get out of poverty by starting an income generating activity is deciding on what to do. They spend too much time on what to sell. And that's the easiest start with anybody. When you look at this, the best thing you can do is learn how to sell. What can you sell? That's the easiest, quickest, fastest way. Find something that you can sell. So many of you just look at your neighbors and do the same thing. That doesn't always work. Maybe your neighbor had a bad idea. Maybe the market's saturated. Maybe they're already doing it right. So let's start by learning the 4 basic types of businesses and kind of pick and choose. We'll talk pros and cons. And that's what you want to do is look around. What can you do better? I don't want you to fight on price to be the cheapest. Anybody can do that. I want you to build quality value, do it better, something people are going to pay for. It's okay if other people are doing it. That's actually a good thing. I know when I started launching into the book business, and I saw titles or books similar to mine, and it was kind of hurt my feelings. But no, that's a good thing. If I was launching a book that was unique and the only one of its kind and nobody else was writing about it, that means nobody wants it. Okay? So big picture here, what can you do better? I don't want you to fight on price. I want you to do it better. I want you to solve those big problems and challenges that people have. So let's go to page 20 here. It continues to talk about businesses come in many shapes and sizes. They sell a million varieties of products and provide thousands of different services, but generally they fall into 4 categories. So here are the 4. Right? The first one is retail. So retail businesses sell products to people who actually use or consume the product. Most businesses fall into this category because they can be started with little amount of money, capital, or time. So retail, you're reselling products. What services can you send? The next one is service business. Offer a service to a customer, a babysitter who cares for your children, you're mowing lawns, you're mending fences. What can you do? The next one is wholesale business. You sell products to retailers, and then they sell them to the end user. A little tougher to get into. And then the fourth one is manufacturing. Manufacturing businesses create products and sell them to wholesalers, retailers, and end users. That's what they do. That one's a little tougher to get into, but you can do a little look at these and figure out what you want to do. Again, we're just brainstorming here. What is you? What is your heart telling you to do? Remember, Tom said it a million times, the bigger the problem, the bigger the payout, the better the business. And so take a look at your homework here. There's 10 answers there. So keeping the 4 types of businesses in mind that we just talked about, start exploring ideas for you, right? The IGA stands for income generating activity. List every idea you come up with, products or services you can offer. And I don't think 10's enough. I would do 100. And it'll make your brain go, ouch. But if you can come up with 100 ideas, the first 10's easy. If you keep going, you'll be amazed to get those creative juices flowing. Come up with 100, ask other people, just write them down. Your list can't be too long. We can go and shrink it later and pick that best one, but don't limit yourself to 10 here. Then the next question is, review your list. Which products or services solve a pressing problem for people who live in your area? So go through the list, go through your ideas. What's really solving a problem? Can you do it differently? Can you do it better? Can you change it up? So there's 2 or 3 there for product or service, and then problems that it solves. Problems that it solves. What problems does it solve? Right? Then toward the bottom of page 20 there is, why does your product or service solve a problem for your customer? Because a customer will buy a product or service only if it meets one of his or her needs or solves one of their problems. That's the key. And the bigger the need for the item, the more likely the consumer will make that purchase. So what can you do differently? What problem can you solve? The ability to solve a problem is a major factor separating ideas from opportunities worth pursuing. So you're looking at your list. Hopefully you got 100. And then just kind of label out of scale from 1 to 10. How big is the problem it's solving? And then go through your 9s and 10s, and start shrinking your list. Which one are you passionate about? Start shrinking your list. What can you do better? Start shrinking your list. And to get to, 2 or 3 ideas that you can start bouncing off other people. Get feedback is really a need for that. So Stephen Gibson, the creator of this course, had a very successful business selling the most in-demand product in the world, oxygen, right? When you need it, you need it. That's a problem. That's like in a desert selling water. That's pretty easy. Selling it on a rainy day, that's probably tough. But when you need oxygen, you need oxygen. That's one of the most important needs. And so what type of needs can you create? What are you doing well? And do people need a coach? Coaching business can be something. What do you do well? What can you coach people on? You can do this. In fact, my 14-year-old daughter needed money. What did she do? She created Princess Camp. Of all the silly, strange things, she went to the neighbors. It was a 3-day boot camp on how to be a princess. Okay? And they dressed up, they watched movies, the parents paid, and she actually did really well for doing Princess Camp. Can you be a soccer coach? Can you coach people one-on-one, do soccer camp, math camp, art camp, painting camp? What can you do one-on-one? Can you do it to a group? What do you do well? What are you smart at? What can you do? Those are different things you can do as a side hustle. Those are the important pieces of this puzzle. So it is a puzzle. We're being detectives. We're working through this to help us understand how to do this. So let's go to page 21. There's a list there. List what you think changes an idea into an opportunity worth pursuing. Right? Just kind of brainstorm that. What is that? Do they really need it? What are you looking for? Not just the features. What is the benefit? What problem are you going to solving? People need a drill. Okay, well, no, they need a hole. Why do they need a drill? They need a hole. They need to go to the gym. Well, they don't go to the gym because of the best equipment. They need to go for the coach. They go to feel better, to be slimmer, to lose weight, to be healthier. What is the core reason, the core thing that you are solving? That is going to be your goal. So lift those out. That's part of your homework. And here's some possible factors, some things to think about here, just to brainstorm with us. It solves a common but pressing problem. The more urgent the problem, the better. The solution to the problem is available at a price that a potential customer is willing and able to pay. Those are two different things. They might love it, but if they can't pay it, it doesn't matter. For example, the price is not so high that a person would have to get approval from their spouse, maybe for doing it. There is the third bullet there. There is not already a dominant company solving the problem in your market area. That's not always a bad thing, but if they monopolize it and there's no way to get in, that's going to be a hard thing for you. The next bullet there, the decision by your consumers or your customers to purchase the product or service is an easy one. Well, duh. Because if you think about it, for example, if I was selling a $100 bill for $1, that's a pretty easy decision. If I was selling a $20 bill for $1, people don't have to think about it. So if you can build the value to where, duh, I'll do that all day long. That's what they're talking about, that. How could you do that? And so the final bullet, there's enough profit to be made by you, the seller, and it's worth selling the product or offering the service. It's worth it to you. So that's the key. What can you offer there? That is something to take a look at. So when you look at it, the assignment here is keep in mind the characteristics of good business opportunities. Review your list, narrow it down by problem, by passion, by talking to other people. I encourage you to do let's say a survey or a poll. Strangers on the street, ask them, what do you think about this? Would you pay for this? Would you do this? Send out to your social media, to your email list. Hey, take a quick survey. What do you think's best? Would you pay for this? Would you do this? Get honest opinions. You're too close to it, so I really would encourage that as you go through that. So continue with your assignment. Choose one opportunity that you would like to research more. So choose the one. I'll let you do one or two, but you got to start narrowing this down. So what is that income generating activity? So at this point, we just want you to choose one that you're researching. Maybe two or three if you want, but at least one that you're going to research, talk to people about, benchmark, we call other people doing it in your area, and see if it could become an income generating activity. And kind of go through back the lessons and that, ask the questions. That's the key thing on page 21. So continuing on with what you're going to do, we're going on the top of page 22, is that you may be feeling a little frustrated here, a little overwhelmed. That's okay. A little bit at a time. I know you want to make money yesterday, but as you look at this, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. But I want you to take action, but I don't want you to be analysis paralysis. I've always loved what Robert Allen has taught everyone, is the concept is ready, fire, aim. You're like, well, Kurt, that's backwards. No. Get ready as much as you can, but good entrepreneurs out of a side hustle, they'll get ready, and then they'll fire. Oh, that didn't hit the target. Then they'll aim, then they'll fire. Otherwise, you'll spend all your life getting your ducks in a row, get everything right, get everything perfect, analyze it to death, and not take action. So we want to do a little research, but we want to start taking action as soon as possible. So continue on up there. Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich. You have access to that on the SuccessOfMoneyFoundation.org website, the audio and the PDF. You should be reading that. But he says, one must realize, this is Napoleon Hill, one must realize that all who have accumulated great fortunes first did a certain amount of dreaming, hoping, wishing, desiring, and planning before they acquired money. So it's okay to do that, to work through that, but you have to pull the trigger. Ready, fire, aim. That final piece there, without planning and analyzing, would-be business owners waste a lot of time, money, energy, enthusiasm, chasing after idea, but never establishing a successful income generating activity. The key being successful right from the beginning is to research, plan, and test. Get out there and do it, test a solid opportunity. Continuing on there, it says, you must see there's never a shortage of ideas. They're out there. Test them, see what other people are doing, use it to do the survey, do the polls that you need to as you work through that. So there's some great examples there that you can definitely work through. So another thing to think at, just to kind of trigger ideas, in the middle of that page, here's some small income generating activities others have done, right? That's the key. Successful things other people have done. So selling cold drinks, homemade soups and stews, selling hot drinks, sandwiches, bottled water. You can sell soft drinks, pancakes, flip-flops. I mean, what are you good at? So that's the sales side. That might be part of it. Maybe you're more on the coaching side, more on the information side. Well, these are perhaps the new and exciting. They can get you started. You can move up. You can build upon them. They might trigger different ideas. I mean, are you selling products? Are you selling information? Are you good at something? What can you do to help people out? Can you coach people's children? There's so many opportunities. Look around. How are people creating that income with these different opportunities? Continuing on page 22, many people want to start a more sophisticated, get into cafes or cell phones. That's great, but is that where you want to start? Maybe. Or you can do some quick, simple, fast things. And all these lessons are going to help you create that in your life. It's critical for your life, for your posterity. It'll make a huge difference. So some field work here, bottom of 22. Go to a marketplace and see what other people are doing. What are they doing well? What are they doing different? And there's 3 lists you want to do when you go to the marketplace. The first one is the bottom of 22. List ideas that have long-term potential, not just a fad, something that's having a long-term potential. You'll recognize these products as just ideas. The fact that many, many people will be selling exactly the same item, that's okay. You can do it better, do it in a different way, provide more service. That's the first question. Then if you get to page 23, second thing, list income generating activities that seem to be opportunities than just ideas. Write down why you think these businesses might be closer to opportunities rather than just ideas. Again, we're thinking long-term potential, not just a fad or just available in a season. We want this to last year round. Number 3, list opportunities that might be right for you based on considerations such as how much money you would need to begin this investment. Can you do nothing down? Can you go to people, negotiate? Hey, loan me 10, I'll pay you at the end of the month. We can be creative here. What can you do to solve the problem for the customer? Are the big ones there. So be creative. That's, think it through. We're brainstorming here, some different things. I'd encourage you to read the story there in the middle of 23 about Jonath and what they did in their income producing activity, the income generating activity. And your final assignment here is, as you look at the top of page 24, is based on what you've learned, doing your research, your ideas, talking to other people, decide which one you want. What is the one? What's the one you want to start? What have you identified? Your research, you've done your polls, you've looked it through, you've benchmarked other people. What are other people doing? Go through your list. I'll give you 7 days if you need it, but then choose one. Don't spend 2 months. That's a waste of time. Figure it out. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can get started. You can fine tune it. You can change it. You can pivot. That's the word that we use to be able to do that. In the bottom line, at the end of page 24, most business ideas are not worth pursuing. I know you don't want to hear that, but again, are you passionate about it? You love doing it? Are you good at it? Are other people doing it? Are things to think about? To finish off the bottom line, the best opportunities involve selling a simple solution for a pressing problem and offering it at a fair price that people are willing and able to pay for. I mean, that is key. So there you have it. That's the important piece there that we are working on as we go through that. But I also want you to start thinking through, go through this process, is to be more creative. Now, we want to be creative here, and it's not something you're born with. The creative part of your brain can be nurtured, it can be learned. When I was looking at charismatic leaders, there's something about being creative and nurturing that. You can be more creative. And as Albert Einstein said, imagination's more important than knowledge. So you can be creative here as you go through this. But the blind spot is, oh, I'm not creative. I'm not. No, you can be more creative. You can learn to be more creative. You can exercise that. That's why the exercise of coming up with 100 stretches your brain. I'm not saying it's easy. It stretches your brain, helps you be more creative. So we're not born creative. We're not creative because our brains are different. If we dyed our hair pink, creativity is not the result of some magical thing. You can learn how to do it. So at least as long as you're above average in your intelligence, so if you're listening to this, reading this, you could be more creative. Highly creative people have a specialized knowledge, is competence, and they're able to draw on ideas from different disciplines and ideas, and so you can learn to be more creative. So think about your potential. Think bigger, what you want to accomplish. So as more you visualize, the more creative you can be. When you think about your challenges before you go to sleep, your subconscious brain will come up with ideas. Focus on solutions. Don't focus on the problem, focus on the solution. Surround yourself with creative people, and don't resist your ideas. Write them down. Don't say that's dumb. No, write it down, work it through. When you're brainstorming, the worst thing you can do is judge your ideas. Write them down, write them down. So here's 6 things you can do to be more creative. Find at least 5 solutions for each challenge. I'd say 10, 20. We talked about 100 today. Brainstorm in a group to find solutions. You'll be amazed at the ideas that other people have. Never downplay those suggestions like we talked about, whether they're from other people or yourself. Trust your subconscious mind to give you the answers. Again, think about your challenges before you go to sleep, so your brain will come up with solutions while you sleep. It's amazing. Like, have you ever lost your keys? And you thought about it before you went to sleep in the morning, bing, oh, I remember they are. That's your subconscious mind. When you look at stories or telling stories or metaphors or analogies, that helps you become more creative. And realize time's not your friend. Meaning, don't do the analysis paralysis. Just get it done, create a deadline, be creative. That's a big part of it. If you look at people like Henry Ford, very creative, changed the auto industry when he decided to do a manufacturing plant that had a line of people doing the same things. That changed the game. He just thought about it. He's creative. It was different. People thought he was crazy, but you can surround yourself with creative people. So brainstorm 100 of those ideas. I know it's a lot. Maybe I'll go with 50, but it just stretches you. That increases your creativity. The other thing I want to talk about here as we get into this is trusting your gut, trusting that intuition. You want to do your surveys and polls and talk to other people, but when you interview successful people, they've learned to follow that instinct, that intuition, that inner voice, that still small voice, whatever you want to call it. It'll talk to you. People don't always talk about it, but there's an intuition here. So as you go through this and you've done your research, use your intuition. As Bill Gates, founder of Microsoft, said, often you have to rely on intuition. You have to. You look at successful CEOs, they have 2 years of data, but ultimately they have to follow their heart, that instinct, that urge, that impulse, that intuition. So the blind spot here is we second guess ourselves. We have this thought, this idea, this impulse. Oh yeah, whatever, that was just me. Start following your intuition. The more you follow your intuition, the more it's going to speak to you as you go through this. In fact, they had college students. They were watching a 10-second clip of a professor during their class, the beginning, middle, and end, 10 seconds. And they evaluated the professor. So they evaluated the professor's warmth, energy, and confidence. And the study found that the students that saw the 10-second video had the same evaluations as the people that were in the class the whole semester. So instinct, intuition. Top leaders score higher than lower level managers on intuition. We don't have time to constantly overanalyze every situation. And intuition's bigger than we realize. It feeds our expertise, our creativity, our love, and even our spirituality. Those are some things to think about with intuition. So follow your heart. This is what I'm saying. Do the research, talk to other people, but ultimately you have to follow your heart. So we can call it a hunch, a gut reaction, a feeling. So learn to read other people, follow that instinct. It does take faith and practice, but learn to focus and concentrate. Take time to be alone with your ideas. Take time to be alone with your thoughts. Go for a walk and just think about it, and you'll be surprised. And again, turn off your cell phone, the audio, the video, be alone with your thoughts. You'll be surprised how often you get that instinct, that intuition urge when you take time to listen and to be alone with your thoughts. You have to, at some point, follow your heart. So what do you want to do? Be alone with your thoughts. That's the biggest one. It'll speak to you. What's your attitude about this too? That, no, this works. There's something about this. I mean, logically, you can't really explain it, but it works. Learn to listen. Learn to apply what that voice is telling you. Practice, and soon it'll become quicker, easier, and faster as you go through this. I mean, Tom talks about Walt Disney all the time. He talked about someone that followed that instinct, that intuition. People thought he was crazy, but he knew. He knew it would work out. He knew it would happen. So the takeaway, learn to listen to your thoughts, follow your instinct, solve your challenges. It'll make a big difference. That is the key. That is what you are looking for. So that instinct, that intuition, that impulse, because if you're listening to, you want to listen to other people's opinions to a point, but at one point you have to listen to your heart, that instinct. That's what great entrepreneurs do. That's part of finding the right side hustle. And just to finish up with a story and how important this is, this farmer had a young son. They didn't have a lot of money, broke. They worked hard. They were hard workers, and they slowly earned money, and they finally, their dream, they bought a donkey, which was going to make everything easier. I mean, this donkey was part of the family. They bred it, they fed it well, and it really helped around the farm. And then one Saturday, they decided to go to town to get some supplies, use the donkey, kind of show off the donkey. They were excited and got it ready to roll, and they were getting ready to go to town. The father put the son on the donkey. They started going to town, and first neighbor says, "Oh, what a bad son, making their father walk. What kind of son would do that?" And they heard this, and so they switched. Father got on, and the next neighbor says, "What a bad father, making their son walk. What type of father would do that?" And so they both got on. And the next neighbor says, "Hello, animal cruelty. Why don't you, all right, your donkey can't handle that much weight." And then so they both walked next to it, not knowing what to do. And the next neighbor says, "Hello, you got a donkey. Why don't one of you ride it?" Perplexed, they cut down a small tree and they tied it up upside down, tried to carry the donkey into town, which got them mocked and ridiculed, and that didn't work out. So you need to get opinions and advice, listen to people, but ultimately you can't listen to every neighbor because you'll never achieve your goals, never make it happen. Follow that instinct, that intuition, be more creative, do this homework. This is a game changer. This is a life changer for your life, for your income, for your posterity. And then once you become more and more successful, giving back, helping out, becoming more charitable, that's what it's all about. In fact, you start that now, becoming more charitable, giving back, helping out. The more successful you get, the more and more you can give away. So thanks from the successandmoneyfoundation.org. Go there, do your homework, make sure you have this PDF. It'll make a big difference. That is lesson 4. Do the homework, make it happen, and go out and make the world a better place.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you so much for jumping in with us in our class today. We're going to say goodbye to our friends from around the world. And we're going to come back and we're going to be talking about our next section on how to get that business really cranking to the next step. There are 3 strategies that we need to use, and then another 25 ways to make more money. So we'll be right back in just a second. Thanks.